I just imagine the other 90% of Russ's typical listeners coming in and hearing boom, 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 and being like, what the fuck is this?
Go subscribe, subscribe.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It's Knowledge, and today I'm reviewing Russ, Chomp 2. The melodic rapper again departs from his traditional style to show love to titans of underground rap. And if you look at the track list of this, it pretty much gives you the definition of your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Russ, no doubt, streams and sells more than all of the other artists on this project, but he recognizes the skill and true mastery of the rap game of each of these people he's chosen to feature. And for sure, he's a fan of people like Conway, Ghostface, Ransom, and I give Russ a lot of credit for that. He didn't have to do this. I mean, compare Russ's 12.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify to Ransom, an MC who I consider to be having a breakout year, yet he is only at 123,000. 12.4 million. 123,000 from one of my current favorite rappers, but that's how it goes. The best artists are usually not the most recognized, so props to Russ for recognizing them and giving them shine here. I hope they can all get some more fans out of appearing on this project. And Russ knows that they're going to have iller bars than him, so it's not like we're going to talk about if he gets murdered on his own track, because I think that's kind of the whole point. I think he expected that to happen as soon as he got this arsenal of MCs together. And not only is the track list stacked with guest appearances from hip-hop's finest MCs, but the producer list is equally, if not even more impressive. We got Jake One, DJ Premier, Alchemist, Harry Fraud, Statik Selektah, Ninth Wonder, Hi-Tek. Really excited to hear the Hi-Tek track on this. And Russ really leaned into this one with the first Chomp just being a 5-track EP. This is a full-fledged LP coming in at 50 minutes to showcase some of his favorite artists in the rap game. Sheep, ironically or not ironically, the first track begins as a solo Russ track. He had to reserve the smooth Jake One beat for himself and to show that he can do it for Dolo, even though he's got all these guest appearances on the album. And he spit some adequate bars here about the clones in today's rap game. But we get more into the thick of it and the style of this album as a whole with the next track, Blue Chip. It's fast-paced at first, single-syllable, high-pitched vocal sample reminiscent of something like Ghostface's One. Russ rides the beat nicely on this, even though some of his attempted wordplay is a bit of a stretch. And after Russ's verse, we get a beat switch. Beat switches in hip-hop are usually an interesting element to the track, but if it's just two songs stitched together, it can be pointless. But that is not the case here for the beat switch that's executed perfectly by Mr. Porter. There's a reason for it. It goes into that darker, deeper space that Ransom occupies, and Ran is probably the best at wordplay right now in the game. He says, "Oh, and Gun and my Lindsay the Lohan. No scam, nothing like Quincy, a slow jam. Program went for a 10 speed to a broham. You don't owe Ran, that's big cap like the old Cam." If you got 4 double entendres, is that an octa entendre? Broham is a classic Cadillac, and the big cap is a reference to Cam Newton, and I'm just going to leave this right here. Bucket hat loose. This beat goes hard. I scrambled to see which of these classic producers was responsible for this great beat, but it was actually, to my surprise, produced by Russ himself. Nice job to the name on the cover of this LP. Now, we're only 2 tracks in so far, but based on what I've heard after Papoose's verse, I think that every track on this might be attempting to outdo the track that came before it. Papoose's flow is absolutely crazy, and Russ also comes through with some better wordplay than we heard on the previous track. He says, "Couple homies blood, but I invested in some crypto." Nothing new. This is the beat I was looking forward to, produced by Hi-Tek, and I gotta say I'm disappointed. Maybe the beat would sound better with Quali over it, but this ain't really hitting for me. Although Game really does save the track, coming through with some bars, but he's still name dropping after all these years, so much so that he actually mentions Dr. Dre and Jay-Z twice in the same track. Next up, we got Salute, produced by Ninth Wonder, who had the best track on the first Chomp, the track featuring Black Thought. He comes through here with his classic soul sample sound, and this features Westside Gunn and Styles P. I don't think we've had a Westside Gunn and Ninth collaboration since WrestleMania 20 on Supreme Blientel. Westside Gunn I consider huge in the rap game right now, but he comes in at just 10% of the monthly listeners of Russ. I just imagine the other 90% of Russ's typical listeners coming in and hearing boom, 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 and being like, what the fuck is this? When Styles P comes on to round this out, you realize that this may be the most diverse track of different MCs for the year. Faith, we got another good beat here that sounds like a sample of a spiritual chant. Russ on the beat, he's coming through with some lines too. He says, "Get out of your own way. Trust me, bro, that's so vital. They said that I look like Jesus, so I wrote my own Bible. I don't want to date you if your nudes won't go viral. Yeah, I got rings, but I play like I got no titles." And we got 2/3 of the locks on the last 2 tracks as Jadakiss comes through with some bars, even saying he could hire someone to kill a critic who's not feeling him. So with that in mind, I'm going to say, yeah, this is a good Kiss verse. Free, produced by the GOAT, Primo, DJ Premier. Really like the Russ verse here. He was inspired by the beat. He's talking about his first L was one that Snoop gave him, and other great lines on here too, like, "I'm ghost if I don't move my spirit like a Ouija board." And he also talks about how Snoop gave him his first chance, and his first beat was on a Snoop album. Snoop appears later on verse 3, but it's really Big K.R.I.T shining through on this, as the beat sounds even more soulful when K.R.I.T jumps on it. And I'm gonna drink to this track. I am sipping on a Hop to Be Square. That is from Hop and Sting Brewery in Grapevine, Texas. This is a 7.7%. So guest appearance on this from ABV as well. And it is a New England style IPA coming from Texas. So a little out of its element, just like Russ on his own track list. Let's get back into it. I said in the intro I was most excited for the Hi-Tek beat, but I think as far as MCs, I'm most excited for the J Electronica feature. Even though J Elect isn't my favorite MC on this track list, I am always excited to hear a rare verse from him because there's always layers to it. Especially excited to hear him over a Harry Fraud beat. I don't know that he's actually been on a Harry Fraud beat, but after listening to this, I can actually hear a vision for a full-length album with J Electronica produced by Harry Fraud. That being said, though, Russ's contributions really take away from this. I almost wish he wasn't there, even if it was just one verse and no chorus from J Elect alone, but Russ's contributions make it sound like the most poppy J Electronica song that I've ever heard, and probably the most poppy Harry Fraud track that I've ever heard. But Jay does not disappoint lyrically. Listen to this man's poetry. He says, entirely off the record. The messiahs of society quietly walk with leopards. And when they plug into the matrix, the babies have dreams of making love on a spaceship. Russ fans who have never heard J Electronica before, please let me know what you think of this in the comments. I'd really like to know, are you feeling it, or is it too much of a departure from your artist style to really get down with it? Note to self, produced by Hit Boy and probably some of the bigger names to casual rap fans on this entire record. Big Sean with a nice nod to the late Virgil Abloh and a call out to YouTube reaction videos. Wale with the verse on this too. Did Wale release a new project this year? I haven't seen anybody talking about that album. I don't know, was it good? I didn't even check for it. Maybe I listened to a track or two, but nobody's been talking about it. Still, he's got a nice line on here with the backspace typo/typo metaphor. Nice bar there. And Joey cleans up the posse cut, referencing his role on Power. Even though I'm sad that he left the Wu-Tang show, I like this bar here. He says, I said I ain't even got a rap. 50 gave me like 2 M's, now how am I supposed to act? Walk around like I got unique written on my back. Distance. All right, I lied. This was the one I was most excited for when seeing the track list because it's a beat by Alchemist, featuring Ghostface and Conway the Machine. It doesn't get much better in a track list than that right there. And unfortunately, Russ is on it. I can't say I'm a fan of what Russ is doing with the verse or in the chorus. In a way, he ruins this in the same way that he ruined the J-Elect song, making it a little too poppy. And I don't know why he didn't have to, because he's proven on other tracks on this project that he's actually got some bars, that he can do a flow that hangs with these underground artists, but he didn't choose to do that on some of the best tracks. Or when he's going toe-to-toe with God MCs, you would have thought that he would bring his best heat for that. And is he saying, label me a mischief on the chorus? I think he means label me a misfit. Label me a mischief doesn't really make sense, but all right. Conway comes through to save it. He does what he does, expertly straddling that hard drug dealer who's now a businessman with emotions, persona, and he says, Mama did drugs, grandfather needed methadone. Took that chip off my shoulder, used it for a stepping stone. Mine's sick, ain't no prescription that can help me. You broke, but always got your 2 cents. Fuck you gon' tell me. Ghost also stays true to what he does best, spitting descriptive and giving you imagery with his slang. Get it? Really like this Statik Selektah beat. In fact, this is probably my favorite beat on the album, and that's saying a lot with this producer list, but this is the one that gets really introspective, and I think it's much needed at this point in the album. And the Russ sung chorus is more fitting here than on previous tracks. And he's got some lyrics too. He says, dumb bitch, I dread women who be trying to twist my head in knots. Energetic cars too expensive, so I'm jetting off to Aruba or Morocco, or maybe to the pyramids. I feel like Santiago. That last line is really interesting because it's referencing a novel called The Alchemist. And it's interesting that he didn't choose to put that line on the Alchemist beat. Cyhi the Prynce sounds good too. And he talks about how he used to chase girls' digits, but now all he thinks about is 7 digits, as in millions. But it's really Lloyd Banks who sounds most at home on this beat and kills his flow on it. Enjoy the view. Plenty of double entendres from Russ on this verse, and maybe he should have used this one for the Ghost and Conway track to stay hanging with them. He says, you'll get beat, fuck the drama, knock a thespian out cold. Plus, it's always straps around like lesbian households. Mozzie also comes through with a good verse on this particular track. This is a nice approach for a popular artist to try to get some street cred. He stacked the track list with some of the best producers and rappers in the game right now. And most of them didn't phone it in. Most of them really delivered for him. However, I wonder if Russ's fans dislike the Ransom and J-Elect and Conway verses in the same way that Russ's choruses and some of his bars take away from it for me. I feel like his first foray into this, the first Chomp, departed from his style enough that it was really more accessible to us underground heads than this. Unfortunately, I gotta say there's a little too much of the artist himself in this LP. So much so that it becomes that I really like pieces of songs, but not too many entire songs themselves. Still, I don't want to knock it too much because I would absolutely love to hear more in this series. And anyone who can put this much talent together is definitely a talented artist themselves. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of Russ's Chomp 2. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know why in the comments. I drop hip-hop and hops related content consistently, so subscribe to my channel now. And until I see you next time, keep buzzing.
Fucking man says subscribe. But if he's on his channel saying that somebody's album is better than mine, unsubscribe to him.
No, your album's the best, man.
There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.